Hi, I'm Allyn Miller, and welcome back to the Child Connection channel. And today I would like to tell you a little bit more about my parenting method, which I call the pause, presence, play parenting method. And I just want to tell you a little bit why each of these components is really important as a parent and what kind of difference it can make in the relationship with your child. So when I talk about having pause in your parenting, that's kind of the mysterious, nebulous idea of pushing the pause button before you react in some awful, terrible way. And I really just want to hone in on why this is so important. I think a lot of people misunderstand the reason why we need to consider pushing pause before we react in any moment with our child. A lot of people think, well, yeah, it's just not nice to yell at your kid. Or, yeah, I need to help myself be able to think more clearly so that I can say the right thing when I'm interacting with my child. And those are not untrue, but there's a deeper reason why it's really important to push pause and not have an explosive reaction when you're with your child. And the real reason comes down to survival instinct. All of our bodies are wired for survival, to move away from any threats and to move to safety so that we can grow and thrive. And in our children, their systems are wired to be very sensitive to any potential threats. Their systems are also wired to connect to their first person that is caring for them and loving them and protecting them, which of course is their parent. So knowing that a child's system is naturally drawing them towards the parent and also naturally pushing away any threats, you might be able to see where this is going. The reason we want to pause and not have explosive reactions with our children is because the worst thing we can do as a parent in our interaction with our children is to become the threat that is scaring our children. And I will say that again because it is so important. The scariest thing for our child to experience is for us as their parent to be the scary thing. Our children cannot make sense of a situation where they're feeling scared and they want to go get help from their parent, but when they go closer to the parent, that's the thing that's scaring them, and so they have to back away. Their systems can't process that situation. So I'll say it again, we need to press pause so that we as the parent, our source of our child's safety and their survival does not become the threat, does not become the scary thing that might harm them. And I'm also going to pause here to say that if hearing this makes you feel guilty or makes you feel ashamed about how you have acted in the past, take a deep breath and remind yourself that there's always a chance to repair. There's always a chance to move forward. And if this is the first time you're hearing this message, just be grateful that you're hearing it today and not 10 years later. Be grateful that now you have an opportunity to make a different choice and to show up in a different way with your kids, starting right now. And let me remind you that even though I know this and I grasp this concept, do I do it perfectly? No. Have I been the big scary thing for my children? Yes, many, many, many times. And I don't like it. And I do work on minimizing that, but it happens. It will happen. And thank goodness there are steps on the other side to repair the relationship, to come back together, to not be the big scary thing anymore. So I think I can move forward from pressing pause. And I'm going to talk a whole lot more about that. I'm going to tell you even more stories about what it looks like when it doesn't happen and what it looks like when it is successful. After finding that pause so that you as a parent are not a threat to your child, Then the important element is your presence, how you show up with your child. So that's your nonverbal body language. That's your attention, what you're actually looking at. That's your tone of voice. That's your gestures and what you're doing with your body. That is the words that you're using to communicate. That is your intention for how you're being with your child in that moment. And the presence that you bring into the relationship and bring into the interactions with your children is really, really important, because children, especially young children, they live in the moment. So if you can imagine a child's life in their first 7 years, imagine converting that into an animated movie. How many different still frames would have to be put together to make a movie of that child's life? The way a child experiences their life, especially in the first 2 years when they actually do not have the brain capacity to develop autobiographical memory, is living in the moment. So every time you show up with your child, you are creating a moment that is having an impact on your child's life experience. And yes, over time and through repetition, all of those moments add up to create your child's life experience. But if you're struggling and feeling like you're not doing it right and you don't know what to do, just think of focusing on the next moment you have with your child. What's the best way that you can possibly show up in that moment that you have with your child? And what else is there? Play. So our children really, 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 really need and want us, the adults, the parents, to play, because that is a child's natural language of expressing themselves, of understanding the world around them, of communicating with people around them, of releasing big feelings, of comprehending big feelings, of expressing their creativity and using their imagination, developing their imagination. So the world of play is a child's world. So as much as we want to tell children things and explain things and show them things, when we can bring play into those interactions, whatever it is that we're trying to do is going to sink in faster, sink in deeper, and have more meaning when it's done in a playful way, or when it's done through different elements of play. And I know that's really potentially frustrating, because as adults, we don't have time to play. We don't know how to play. We're bored of playing that again. There are lots of reasons why grown-ups don't like to play. And maybe it's a little bit worthwhile to look at how you can, not force yourself into doing something, because kids know when you're faking it, but maybe just open up or soften a little bit to considering incorporating a little bit more play into how you interact with your children. And those people that are always playful, probably a preschool teacher. Think of your best babysitters that you've ever had as a child or that you have in your life now. The nanny that is always engaged and having a great time with numerous kids. Some people do have an innate playfulness and they just love being in that zone, and that's great. And that's not everybody. So this is a path of self-exploration. Once you are a parent, you have a child in front of you, and just knowing that play is how they operate in the world, that can help you come a little bit closer to getting into their world through a sense of play. So that is just the very, very tip of the iceberg on why pause, presence, and play are so important in your parenting journey. And as you'll see in further videos coming up, I do not do these things perfectly. Definitely not. Thank goodness I also do have some examples of when it does work out, when things, when I can put things in place and really set intentions and follow through and the magic happens. So I'll be sharing plenty of stories of what not to do and what it could look like if it's successful. And really, I just want to let you know that I do not have the answers. As much as I would love for this to be just, a giant parenting Q&A, bring me your questions and I'll give you the answers. No. Sorry. No, I'm not going to give you all the answers to all of your parenting questions because quite honestly, I still don't have all the answers to all of my parenting questions. But what I can do is I can help you find your answers. You willing to try that out? Let me know. I would say, go ahead, bring me all your questions and I won't answer any of them, but I can help you find a path to finding the answer that does work for you. And I know you might think I'm just kind of messing around and playing around here. I'm not doing any sort of mind trick mumbo jumbo. I'm just honestly saying that even for myself, if I have a particular parenting question, like how do I handle this? I might end up with an answer that works today. And then that answer does not work tomorrow. Or I find an answer that works with my daughter, and then that does not work at all with my son. So I really mean it when I say that I don't have the answers, because every day, every child, every situation is different. Does that sound kind of scary that you never know what to count on? That's not what I'm saying either. Definitely there are trends. Definitely there are patterns. Definitely there are processes and principles that you can follow that are going to make a difference. So it's not a total crapshoot every single day. And every day is an opportunity to be curious, to ask yourself more questions and just experiment and see what happens. The more you try it out, the more you see what happens, the more you can make more informed choices going forward. And then your kids are a little bit older and then you have all new questions all over again. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will be back soon with some stories, no answers, but hopefully some insights into your parenting journey. Take care.